Afternoon, everybody. How we doing? How we doing? So today I hit two break-even trades. Honestly, can't really complain. I think I had a pretty good read on price action, and it just ended up not playing out in my favor, or at least not the way I wanted it to. Right. So going into a bit of our context, right? Previous day's range stat was neutral because neither side broke. True day open was below us during pre-market because it got traded through in London, so obviously the stat is a bit lower on that. And then it looked like on the 4 hour it looked really bullish. Like if you just look at a 4 hour chart, right? It looked like we were respecting these 4 hour gaps. It's funny how like since we gapped up here, this just looks like price action on its own. But yeah, it looked like we were respecting this 4 hour gap right here, which I'm pretty sure I had marked out. Yeah, I had it marked out as a low volume node in the 4 hour gap. Um, and yeah, it looked pretty good. New week opened with a new week opening gap, um, and it got traded towards in London, but barely tapped it. Barely, like didn't even get like to the wick of this, but it is technically the gap. So I saw this as London potentially being a protected low, and we continued higher during London and continued it during pre-market, and yeah, eventually, what was it? Okay, so at 9 a.m. Eastern, we had some news about, I think it was like Apple. I can double check really quick what it was. Um, what was it? It was at 9. So Amazon inks a 38 billion deal with OpenAI to supply Nvidia chips. Amazon will provide Nvidia chip clusters to OpenAI for 7 years. Amazon joins Microsoft, Oracle, and Google as an OpenAI cloud provider. So pretty. This caused a very impulsive move. Ooh, hold on. There you go. It was this impulsive move, and I got caught off guard because, I mean, I got caught off guard because it's like I saw it as like, oh, it's 9 a.m. open, but then I figured something else had happened, and looking at Bookmap, this created a low volume node. Um, we pushed higher very strongly, so created this internal low volume node, right? So we created this and traded back towards it, respected it, and then retested it, and we actually put in a CVD divergence because we were forming a higher low, but CVD was significantly lower. Like it went from positive to negative between these two, so it was a very strong divergence, and I took a trade off that. Figured that um, market open would take us straight to previous day's high, these relative equal highs, and this 1 hour FEG slash 15-minute intermediate high. So my first entry, if I can maybe get it to work, was this one right here. Um, it was at 9:10, so it wasn't quite immediately, right? But if we go to a 5 minute, it was around this candle, maybe. And I had my stop somewhere down here. I think I was starting all the way up here. You can double check. So 26 219 was my entry, 180 was my stop, 219 was my entry, 80 was my stop. So I had my stop all the way down there. And like it was looking good for a bit. And then as we approached market open, I wanted to be aware of what this candle was going to do. As I saw price push towards that value area high that I had marked out, I went break even. Uh, because I figured If this doesn't continue higher, this is just a Judah swing to then trade lower. Because I also saw this as like we're trading inside this 1 hour gap that we respected before. Okay. Not only that, I believe there was a newly created 1 hour gap, this one right here. So like we respected this one, created a new one, and we're still respecting this one as well. So to me, that looked like if we didn't push through it with strength, we were just gonna reverse, and that's what ended up happening. But the straight idea looked good. I went break even quick as soon as I got my chance, like to go break even off open. I did, and then ended up getting stopped out. This would have fully stopped me out if I didn't stick to it. And I thought about reversing my position because I remember seeing on Bookmap there was I can't quite remember if it was CBD divergence or it was just like very strong buying efforts and we failed, like we wicked this, so we wicked the previous week's value area high and then rejected. So like I thought to myself, if this stops me out, I'm selling, and like I could have done that, sure, but it wasn't convincing for me. It wasn't quite convincing for me because it felt like the trade location wasn't the best. The fact that we were really close to previous day's high and like all these draws on liquidity, it made it seem not likely. And the only draw on liquidity that I had of this was like this 1 hour immediate high, but we had already pushed past it. So like to me, it was like, okay, maybe we don't want to trade lower, um, since we pushed past it. So then I kind of waited it out, and we also had news today. ISM manufacturing PMI ended up coming out negative, which technically it's supposed to be actual grade in that forecast good for currency. So less would be bad for currency, good for NQ, because technically it's against the US dollar, so it should be bullish. But yeah, kind of wanted to wait that out. I like, I could have tried and joined in on this, but I just kind of decided to wait it out. Had a strong bullish bias, and then seeing a trade lower, like after seeing the momentum, I'm like, okay, you know what? I can wait for a retrace, trade lower, target true day, target this unfilled 1 hour, this unfilled. There was another unfilled 1 hour somewhere around here. We can probably mark it out. But I ended up deleting it because we reached the next one. But yeah, we had this 1 hour gap over here. There we go. So we had this 1 hour gap here. I believe there was a 15-minute ITL in here as well. Yep, right there. This right here was a 1 hour ITL. So that was the first attempt. Low volume node. Continuation. Not really coming off of a draw on liquidity. It was just clear continuation of the high time frame, medium time frame continuation as well, and the low volume node was my continuation confluence. We were respecting 820 VWAP, so it looked good. Not gonna lie. I mean, can't really complain about that trade. Went break even quick. I wanted open to trade immediately higher. We didn't. That's all good. So yeah. After that, I kind of wanted to wait for shorts, and like I wanted to get a retrace before hitting any confluences, and we ended up hitting the 1 hour, hitting true day. Like it just, I wanted to be bullish. I feel like I could have been more flexible, with just taking the momentum. So yeah, like being able to reverse my position up here could have been a good thing. So yeah, I felt like I hesitated a lot. Like I found it hard to, you know, be flexible, I guess. Um, so that's probably something that's gonna go in my notes here. Um, let's say maybe a bit more flexible with bias. I'll say that. That's about all I can say. So yeah. And then, yeah, after this, I just kind of wanted to wait it out. The news ended up coming out, and it didn't do much. It moved down a bit, but not that much of a reaction off news really. Um, so if you took a sweep of maybe data highs and then to trade lower off of overnight VWAP, good job. I didn't. I decided to wait it out. It didn't look good for me to short this move at least. But in theory, it is good because we were setting the IB low second, traded into VWAP, respected it, swept data highs. Maybe you saw failed buying here, and you could target true day. Yeah, you could have targeted true day off this rejection. Hit your first target pretty quick, and yeah, maybe even target previous week's POC. This unfilled. Maybe target the 618 of this range. I ended up throwing a fib on here because since we had these gaps, I'm like, where could we actually see some reaction? And that's when this fib comes in from. It's all the way from previous day's low to today's high. I actually had it up here, I believe. I believe I had it from like London low. So like the 618 here was a good reaction. Ended up not getting that, but yeah. And then my friend was saying like, yeah, bro, just wait for us to get to NWOG. We'll get a good entry there. I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. Blah blah blah. And that's actually what ended up happening. We ended up breaking IB low, and barely swept London low by like a couple ticks, and immediately recovered. So that was pretty interesting, and I think I hopped in along at like 97. My entry was awful. I'm not gonna lie, my entry was awful. But what I saw on Bookmap that made me want to take that long was this right here. I saw a lot of failed buying and a lot of failed selling, and buyers breaking out. We had a lot of warriors at 26,000, and the fact that we had a lot of sellers and couldn't fill that made me think, okay, that's like our support. We're not gonna break that. Um, so I took an entry. Let's see if I can find it really quick. Yeah. On the next candle, I think it was during this candle. I also noticed, we swept London low. We could get rid of this to make it a bit more clear. We had this 5 minute that we could trade it off of. So like this 5 minute right here ended up inverting that. So your ideal entry was technically here if you're trading those type of trades. Maybe stop at the body, but still. Another thing that wasn't like I was hesitating a lot with was like the size of my stop loss on this trade. Um, but yeah, ended up getting an entry at 97 if I'm not mistaken. My stop loss was at the body. I had a 66 point stop loss, so not ideal. I feel like even though it's not ideal, the fact that I had that stop loss made me stay in the trade and be able to get out at break even. Like I said, it was a break even day. Both my trades ended up getting stopped out at break even. The first one off open after seeing that momentum ended up getting stopped out at break even once we saw the fake out at open. But I originally had my stop like all the way down here, and then I figured, you know what, this is too much. Like if we get to the body, like it took me a while to actually make that adjustment, just as the body, but yeah. If I kept it at like the ending of the inversion or maybe the ending of this gap, I would have gotten stopped out, and this did not stop me out. It took a while for us to actually see price reach. Let me see when. I think it happened. Yeah, right here. Right here is when we actually reached the VWAPs. If you can see, all three are in alignment: overnight, New York, and 820 VWAP. And on Bookmap, the New York and overnight VWAP looked very similar, around 112, and then the next one at like 120 something, so like 10 points off, maybe something like that. It looked really good for us to break it and then continue higher. We actually did break New York VWAP on Bookmap, reached the 820 VWAP, kind of sustained a little, retested New York VWAP, and then that's when I ended up getting stopped out. But once we reached this, I was continuously telling myself and telling my trading bro, like, as soon as this reaches New York VWAP, I'm gonna have to go break even. because I don't want it to retest it and then trade lower and then have it stop me out. I want it to break it with strength. That's what I want to see. So as soon as price reaches that, regardless of how quick it does it or not, I'm gonna go break even. So like this took a while. I took my entry at like what 10:45. I was only able to go break even at like 11:50. I was waiting for an hour. It was just chop 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 chop. I mean, it is later in the session and it is a Monday, which is understandable. But yeah, I had to wait all this out. You can see here, break even day, $24 in profit. So not really the greatest, but it is what it is. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Hold on. And I thought to myself, if this stops me out, it's whatever. I'm locking the account no matter what. And I ended up getting stopped out immediately at break even. I covered myself for like a few points. I think for like a point or something to just cover for commissions, because you can see on the trade here, um, it was 750 in profit minus commissions. It's like $5 in profit. So I always try to do that with my break even trades. Go break even. Go with your stop enough in profit so you can cover commissions. Some people don't do that. That's fine. But I'd rather, if it's gonna be a break even day, at least have it be a small profit. So not mad about any of these trades. I think this trade was a pretty solid trade. Maybe my location could have been better. I wanted to see a clear, very clear manipulation of London low. The fact that we swept it by like a couple ticks. This is 1725. The low of this candle is 1550. So that's like 2 points and a tick. So it got swept by 2 points and a tick, and it still went. So like I was not convinced by that. Unfortunately, I was not convinced by that. But my entry should have been closer to this, like maybe when the candle was turning green or something like that. Um, so yeah, and even just targeting like maybe this unfilled 5 bar, but had to be very quick with that, and I just wasn't. It's also the fact that we didn't reach this wick. Kind of like I saw this as like the main part of the gap where there's actually no price action. Um, I wanted to see that get filled, not just like the top part of it and maybe sweep London low. Like I wanted us to trade even lower. But yeah, I should have been more accepting towards the idea that we might just want to trade off of London low. It is what it is. Not really too mad about it because the first trade, great idea, had clear targets, clear confluence to trade from, good momentum continuation on both time frames. Then this one, good confluence to trade from, but not great location. I'll say that, because it was a high time frame continuation, but a medium time frame reversal. Because this technically would count as our medium time frame being bearish, and we were wanting to have this reverse and take all these draws on liquidity. So break IB high and take all these draws. So yeah, pretty interesting to say the least. There's not really much I can say other than I feel like I did a good job in managing my trades. If once I saw what I wanted to see, I went break even. Like once I saw the momentum of open, I went break even. Once I saw price reach New York view up on this, I went break even. Even though like my entry was shit and like I knew like New York view up was like 10 maybe 15 points off my break even point, so like I accepted that as well, and I did a good job in locking the account. I locked it as soon as I saw that happen, and you can see it's still locked out. This was locked out as soon as I hit break even on my last trade, because I figured I would get influenced by FOMO, and you can see that would have definitely happened because we saw 2 retests, and yeah, maybe you could have caught a better move of this, but me personally, like I was done, bro. I was done. There's not much I could have done better. maybe if I just targeted this, got a better entry. Let's say I was in here. Like, it is what it is, you know. It is what it is. It happens. Unfortunate that we didn't get our trade to hit TP, but I knew what I was going for. I was confident in it, and yeah, it happens. So yeah, hopefully I'll catch y'all tomorrow with a banger trade. I know we can definitely recover the account. We're only like what 3 trades in drawdown now, maybe like 2.5. Because technically we're 800 in drawdown total, so that's yeah like 2.5. I'd say something like that, maybe a bit more, but yeah, we can recover this. I know we can recover this, and yeah, that pretty much wraps up the trade recap for the day. 2 break-even trades, good trade ideas, just no follow through. And like I said, the CVD divergence that I saw up here at the highs off open, I didn't want to take the risk, if I'm being honest with you. Like seeing that at open, it's like I just didn't, I was not trusting it. You know what I mean? Especially because I'm looking at it in a 5 minute chart, and I was relying on Bookmap. Um, but yeah, it is what it is. It is what it is, guys. One of the lessons to learn is try to be more flexible, I guess. I feel like I could have been better at doing that. I usually am pretty good at staying flexible with seeing both sides. I feel like the fact that I saw a clear um, bullish bias made me stick to it. So even with that, got to be like, you know what, the shorts could play, you know. So try to find a way to frame both sides in a neutral way, not be married to a bias. So yeah, at the end of the day, it's just a break-even day. It's all good. Could have been way worse for sure. So, alright, y'all. I'll catch y'all in the next one. Peace.